Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here are your hosts, Erin Summers and Todd Graffagnini.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. I'm Erin Summers alongside Todd Graffagnini. Just wrapped up the second training camp practice, and one thing is for sure, they're getting the most out of these shorter practices. Again, another short day today, but they're out there moving. They're going through a lot of different drills, and we're getting early work in the red zone, 7-on-7, 11-on-11. We're seeing stuff way earlier in these practices than we have in the past.
No question, Erin. Maximizing the amount of time that you are allotted. I think that's the key right now. And you have to know that Kellen Moore's got a specific plan, and they are following to the T. He told us yesterday that the first two practices were going to be very short when you're talking about time-wise. They're going to have another one tomorrow, then a day off on Saturday, then they're really going to start to ramp things up. But, yeah, you know, I have the same notebook that I had the entire training camp from last year in Irvine, and I did a little research on the fly, Erin. And as you mentioned, the team worked on red zone in 7-on-7 and in team 11-on-11 today. They did not start working on red zone stuff until the 8th day last year. So much, much different when you're talking about how they're operating on both sides of the ball.
And while the practice time that we see out there on the field is shorter right now, they are here all day. They're coming in, they're practicing, they're reviewing practice film, they're tweaking things, they're talking about different things that they want to implement in the next day's work, and then they're doing an additional walkthrough at the end of the day. So they are here all hours. I mean, I saw pictures from players on social media clocking out at 8 p.m. last night. So they are definitely putting in the work here, and that's why these practices are so efficient.
Yeah, and look, if you're not going to have that much time on the actual practice field, you got to get the mental reps as well. And like you said, Kellen Moore talked about it after today's media session. During today's media session, you've got the practice, then you've got the film. Then he meets with the coaches and they get the game plan. And then, as you talked about, go over everything and then having another walkthrough tonight. And then they talk about the plan for tomorrow. So it is all documented. It is all really down to the minute. And yes, is it long hours? It is, but that's what training camp is for.
A couple things to address here on day 2. They did make a couple transactions with the retirement of Tyrann Mathieu. Left you a little thin in the safety position. They did go out and sign a safety in Julian Blackmon. He most recently was playing for the Colts. He was here participating in practice today. And then they also signed defensive end Jonathan Bullard. So continuing to look at different players on the line there.
Well, I just like that they had a plan, even though they found out about, Tyrann's retirement just a few days ago, they had an idea what they were going to do. Blackmon was available, and look, he's been a productive player in his NFL career. He's just been injured a lot. He played through a pretty serious labrum injury last year. He played the entire season with the injury. So, he's a tough guy. He can stick it out. But look, you got to go through the physical. You got to go through all the other stuff before you actually sign. He signed, and he was on the practice field today. So that's good news.
Definitely. It's good to see them already attacking what was a need coming into this training camp. An area that we're going to assess every single day is the quarterback position, because we have a true 3-way quarterback battle. And we saw that Spencer Rattler, who has the most experience on the field, got the first team reps on Wednesday in the initial practice. Today, it was Tyler Shuck who took first team reps, followed by Spencer Rattler and then Jay Kaner. It was interesting after practice today, head coach Kellen Moore said that they are going to evaluate how those two quarterbacks did in their 2 first team rep sessions. And then eventually we will see Jay Kaner get some first team reps, but he wasn't 100% that will come tomorrow.
I don't know after listening to Jake Haener that he's really all upset with that, because I think he's embracing the role that, quote unquote, he's the third guy. But it is what it is. And I tell you what else I saw today, Erin. A lot of the quarterbacks are throwing to regular receivers. It's not just ones getting the one receivers. It's, I saw Jake Haener throwing to Chris Olave today. So it's not necessarily, when you're talking about the lines themselves, yes. Maybe, but not the guys that they're throwing to. They're really mixing and matching those. So in that essence, I think it's still okay. But yeah, look, they're going to get as many reps as they can. I know Haener's going to get his at some point. But Rattler and Shuck got the majority of the reps. Today it was Shuck. Yesterday it was Rattler with those first team and second team offensive lines. But Haener will get his. And like we said, there's still an abundance of targets to throw to.
Okay, taking a look at how all of the quarterbacks have done the past 2 days, Graff, what stands out to you? And maybe it's very early, right, but who is kind of risen to the top?
Okay, I will say this. Look, I'm not sitting here, flicking back my clicker, going back and forth watching tape. This is eye test from what we watch during practice. Spencer Rattler looks comfortable out there, and it's evident that he has been in the league now for a couple of years. He's not rushed. He's poised. He's made every throw. He had one bad throw today, which he owned up to. And as a matter of fact, it took for a while until one of these red zone sessions where he threw his first incompletion, and that was a drop. And that's going back to yesterday. So it just looks like he's the most comfortable. Haener had some really good throws. Shuck threw the ball much better today than he did yesterday. And again, that's just going to come. One thing we do, again, have to understand is all three of these guys are learning the offense at the same time. Nobody really has an advantage over the other when you're talking about learning the system, because it's a new system to everybody. But right now, 2 very short practices in, Rattler looks to be the most sound.
And I think it's important to point out, too, that Jake Haener was present for all of OTAs, but he wasn't able to participate because he got hurt on the first day of OTAs. He said today that he was only able to complete 6 reps of 7-on-7 before getting that injury. It was an oblique injury he suffered right at the end of practice, kind of when he was doing extra work after that first OTA session. So he wasn't able to actually go through the reps. And so this for him is his first time while he was standing there behind the quarterbacks, mentally doing everything that he could to stay ready. This is his first time actually going through the motions, which may lead to the reason why he's not getting as many of those early reps. Coach Moore said yesterday that Shuck and Rattler really came in with pretty much the same numbers from OTA work. So they're really neck and neck as far as things go right now. Haener might be just a little behind because of the injury that he suffered during OTAs.
No doubt. And look, also, you were there when we heard all three of these guys talk. They just seem so much more mature than they have. Just talking about Rattler, because we haven't heard Tyler Shuck
is not a rookie.
No.
In the way he carries himself.
This is the first time we've really heard Shuck talk in a training camp session, but they just sound so. And it's interesting that Shuck talked about it in the media session, how they're all the same age pretty much. They've all had different journeys to get to where they're getting. They're getting along in the quarterback room. They love to compete against each other. It seems to be a real healthy thing that's going on right now, and they're only going to push each other to make each other better, and that's a good thing. But you listen to Rattler and Haener and Shuck talk today, and you're thinking, man, these are just 3 really intelligent dudes that are embracing the situation that they're in right now.
All 3 of them participated in off-season throwing sessions with other receivers here with the team. Brandon Cook set some up in Oregon and then again in Dallas. And then Spencer Rattler was unable to attend one of the sessions because he had his own camp. So he had Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed come to Arizona, and they went through some work together. So that in itself is going to help as well in terms of developing that chemistry. You are running a new system, so timing still has to factor in here, and everybody's different. You have a new quarterback in Tyler Shuck coming in, but man, the first weekend that he was here in New Orleans, he was at Tulane doing work, throwing with Bub Means and Juwan Johnson, so he has wasted no time, and that's because of the experience he comes in with. He's been in 5 different offensive systems. He's been a backup before. He's been injured. He's dealt with adversity. He said he came in here and he's joking around with Cam Jordan. He's not, intimidated by being a rookie, being here in a locker room with other veterans. So I think just that maturity that he comes with is going to be huge in him being further ahead than most rookies would be.
No, look, we talked about this on the pod yesterday. I'm really excited to see what's going to transpire in the next few weeks because we really don't know. And just to see how guys will step up one day and then see another one step up another day. Kellen Moore, obviously, he's the head coach and he's got to be like, at some point I'm going to have to get a quarterback. But as a former quarterback himself who's been in these quarterback battles, it's got to be, in a kind of crazy sense that it's got to be fun for him to see how this is all going to evolve as a head coach, to watch these 3 guys in a situation where he was in the past and how it's going to all shake out.
Yeah, and he talked about that today after practice on being in a quarterback competition.
Yeah, it's just focus on the task at hand. Focus on your reps, your opportunities. You can't get too distracted in that there's other people a part of a competition. You focus on yourself, whether it's 6 reps that day, 4 reps, 10 reps, whatever it may be. Just keep getting better, learn from your mistakes. And, I think all of our guys, like we've said before, all these guys have faced adversity, in their past from an NFL or college perspective. And so these guys know how to handle these things.
In regards to that quarterback competition, you got to talk about what the quarterbacks are actually doing out there. And they started off with the 7-on-7 work, and it was Shuck who went 3 of 4, and then Spencer came in, he went 2 of 4, and then Jake Hayner went 1 of 3. But he did start off his session with a really nice touchdown pass to Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, and he talked about it in detail but when he was discussing the media, how Juwan kind of rubbed off the safety and then drifted to the left, and he saw him break open and he hit him perfectly. So it was a really nice throw for Jake Hayner. And of course, it's just so nice to have Juwan Johnson out there making catches because he's just such a big weapon, and you hope that he can stay on the field consistently and avoid those nagging injuries that he's had. But no, all 3 guys displayed what they can do in their own way. And to see them work red zone and team in 7-on-7 and team in the red zone, that's really, really good. As we talked about, we didn't see that until the second week of training camp last year, and for them to jump right into it has to really benefit them in the long run.
Yeah, and I mean, there are moments where the defense is going to come out and make a play, and that's not necessarily bad because you want it to be a balance here between the offense being successful and the defense as well. You don't want one side to dominate every day in practice. And Alontae Taylor had a strip from, it was a pass from Tyler Shuck, and he was able to get the ball out. And you saw a lot of that after the catch was made, the defenders really trying to punch the ball out and pull and not giving up on the play until the play is over. So that's good, kind of trying to create some turnovers. And then there was 1 interception by Quincy Riley, the rookie cornerback, on Spencer Rattler, back of the end zone. And it was something that Rattler talked about after practice. And he said he was trying to throw the ball away.
Right. He
just didn't put enough on it.
No, look, and credit to Riley. He made the play. And credit to Rattler. He knew what he had to do to try to avoid the interception. He didn't do it. He owned it. And then on the very next play, he's at the 4-yard line and he runs a quarterback draw in for a touchdown. So that's the mentality that you've got to have during this quarterback competition. If you make a bad play, you flush it, you move on to the next play, and you do something positive to help your team, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the heat that got to people at the end. I mean, it was a little warmer today, still a short practice, but there were a couple flags, back-to-back flags in red zone work towards the end. Rattler was the QB, but not really anything on him. And then we saw our first camp fight, day 2.
Yeah, the humidity and the heat kick in again. It was nothing like we're going to see, I would imagine, in the next week or so. But it was definitely warmer today than it was yesterday. But that's when you start seeing those sloppy things happen with the false starts, especially this early. It's more often than not heat related. But yeah, we had the end of
the wily
session.
vet, man. Brandon Cooks came in here.
Brandon Cooks went in there and went full Tanner Boyle and took on the entire team. That's a Bad News Bears reference in case you didn't know that, everybody. Yeah, no, all of a sudden Brandon Cooks, the offense wearing the white jerseys today, defense wearing the black jerseys, all of a sudden you saw Brandon Cooks and there was a whole bunch of black jerseys around him. And a few seconds later, Eric McCoy came in to try to break things up. But yeah, look, I kind of like it. I mean, you don't want to see that with regularity. Kellen Moore kind of dismissed it. That's going to happen in camp. I don't know if you expect to see it happen this early in camp, but hey, I mean, if guys are going to have a little dust up and it was nothing but that, then so be it. But you can't let it become a pattern.
Yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with a little competition. You got competitive juices are flowing and everybody wants to make the play. And so I don't know if there's words being exchanged, people, talking it up out there, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And Moore did say that if things escalated or continued to happen,
it will be
practice
dealt with.
In and out. Right.
Yep.
So that's something that we don't really need to worry about. It's not like throwing it back to the Trevor Penning when he's getting in a fight every day at practice.
Yes, that was he started to have a reputation that training camp, if you recall, because you've been here for all of those too.
Yes, he has reined it in.
That was 2 years ago.
He's just hanging out on the offensive line. Pat's come out on Monday, though, so you never know what will happen when that happens.
I'm not even going to say it. I was going to.
Well, you have to say it now.
I know. It's been nice to see for 2 days now, knocking on wood, everybody who's been available has been available.
How sad is it that that's where we're at? Just so
how about this, Erin? How about this? When we watched the team stretch today, it's something again that Kellen Moore talked about that you don't even think about how much more congested everybody was during team stretch. You know how they're all spread out. And what did we see today? Everybody was in a very short, compact zone with the quarterbacks off to the side. And that was done purposefully as well, as Kellen Moore mentioned, sports science-wise, how they really ramped up yesterday, hadn't practiced, in a month, and trying to prevent these soft tissue injuries. We were talking about it. It's like, we've never seen the team stretch like this, and that's why they did it. So curious to see how they're going to come out and stretch tomorrow. Yeah,
it seemed like a lot more agility work where they were jumping up and down, moving quickly, fast twitch type of stuff.
You watch the team stretch now for how many amount of years? It basically almost takes up most of the football field.
And they were on one half.
Pretty much. Very compact, but again, like you talked about, jumping up and down, quick agility work. It wasn't like your typical stretching session. I know we've bored everybody, but that is, we're telling you what we see, and that's what we saw today. Definite change for what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, things definitely look a lot different. We mentioned tempo yesterday. We saw a lot of it today, but I just want to get the quarterback's thoughts here on doing that this early and that much. It was funny. Somebody asked Jake Haener if that's something that the quarterbacks are deciding to do. And he was like, no, that'd be wild if I was just going out there and kind of making all the calls. But it is something that the coaches are in their ears about, like, let's go tempo here. They're trying to vary it. And it is something that all the quarterbacks said that they like.
I enjoy it. You know, I think that's a strength of mine. I think that's a strength of our guys, you know, that can help our O-line out up front, take some pressure off of them. And obviously you see the type of weapons we got outside. I think you get the end tight ends, get those guys rolling with some tempo. I think it's great.
I think that's the best part. Being able to have an explosive play, then boom, you're right back on the ball and you're stressing the defense. They can't sub personnel. Like, if you're on the field with base defense and then you're in 12 and you run up and you're trying to run things fast, like you got advantages in some areas. And you know, I think that's the biggest thing of stressing the defense with intention and with urgency is a way that Kellen's going to, you know, approach this year.
All right, so that does it for day 2. A lot of good stuff on the field. We are excited for one more day Friday before the team will get a break on Saturday. And then they'll be back here Sunday, big day Sunday. It's back together weekend. NFL Network is going to have complete coverage from every single camp over the weekend. And they'll be here on Sunday. So you'll get to have a live look in during training camp on Sunday if you're not able to make it out here and hang out with us, because the fans have been coming out so far and it's been great to see their energy and their excitement for things as well.
No doubt. And the team was on the field nearest airline today, so they got a really, really good look and saw a bunch of the good plays that everybody was making. We're able to get the cheers done. They're going to go a little bit longer tomorrow than they've done the first 2 days, so that would tell me they're going to maybe get a couple more team periods in there, so much more for us to see.
Absolutely. Breaking down the quarterbacks today, we'll see what happens tomorrow and give you a full report right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Thank you so much, Todd Graffagnini. I'm Erin Summers, and we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.